one that has to do with more of the paranormal is hauntdetectives.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the way you think it would be spelled, hauntdetectives.com. The other one is historycop.com, and they're kind of, one is more my research site, the other one is more the paranormal, but research into the paranormal, which is kind of cool. Not that I hunt ghosts or anything, but I like to find out the fact versus fiction and some of the.
He needs to come out here then.
Yeah.
He needs to come out. Well, I live in Adams, Tennessee, Ray, and I'm about 8 miles from the Bell Witch plantation.
Oh yeah, the Bell Witch. Oh yeah, I remember reading about that when I was a kid. I mean, that was one of my favorite stories when I was a kid. And
it's creepy as shit, even now.
Well, the American Haunting, the movie they made that was based off the Bell Witch thing, I thought that was an excellent movie.
I thought it was a good try at doing it because they had done some others. But I tell you what, if it's scary enough that President Andrew Jackson wants to get the hell out of Dodge, then maybe
Exactly. And then, a couple of years ago, I started a site specifically about the Columbian Exposition. And it was a nonprofit group I started a couple of years ago. And we kind of do educational programs and try to preserve what's left. And it's called Friends of the White City. And it's friendsofthewhitecity.org. And it's a work in progress because I do all the research on my own and stuff. So you add what you can. But it's really neat because a lot of people have gotten hold of me with family stories and needing some research done and some people with artifacts that they want to help preserve. And so it's been a lot of fun. We do a free tour on Saturdays, pretty much from May 1st, the first Saturday in May to the last Saturday in October over at Jackson Park where the Columbian Exposition was. We do it for free every Saturday. So that's kind of cool. But you can get to most everything from historycop.com. And, of course, the blog that I write for Chicago Now, it's just chicagonow.com, and just look up Chicago History Cop, and you can subscribe to and every time I put on a new blog, you'll get a little reminder that there's something new published. So, but that should cover it.
And well worth it, I might add. There's a reason, by the way, that you're unofficially our most, visited guest, I'll call it that. So, yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't heard anyone ring my doorbell.
Well, you've certainly been on our show, 3 times now. Anytime we get into a Chicago-related subject, you're the first name that I contact because I always love having you on. You always have great knowledge of whatever we're talking about. So, Ray, thank you again, as always, for an awesome hour.
It's always
I really
fun.
appreciate it.
Always fun, anytime.
All right, bud.
All right, guys.
You take care of yourself, and until next time, a couple months or 3 months from now, I'm sure it'll be, and we'll talk then, okay?
All right, sounds good. Take care, guys.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. And everybody, that was the history cop himself, Ray Johnson. I'm telling you, Blake, and I know you kind of came late to the game, but he was awesome on the Gacy show. I really love him on that one. Really, really love him on that one. He came in late on the H.H. Holmes one, but he was awesome in that one, too. So both of those shows are worth listening to, especially because of Ray Johnson's knowledge of, these Chicago-related crimes. And, through my relationship with Ray Johnson and through the things he does, Blake, it's just really kind of, I don't want to say reminded me, but really opened my eyes to how, rich in history and morbid history, really, that Chicago really is.
I agree with that.
It's wild stuff. Some of the things that have gone on in Chicago are just, to this day, are just crazy. And most of them are just like ho-hum things to them there.
Oh, yeah, they are. But that's because it's in your backyard, just like people down here don't give a two shits about the Bell Witch thing. Unless they like that kind of stuff because they've lived around here their whole life. And no disrespect to Kate Batts at all, the witch or anything. It's just people, when they become around something like that, a lot of people become desensitized to it, So that's a perfect example how interesting something in Chicago is to a bunch of, people in Kentucky and Tennessee versus people that live in actual Chicago. It's not all that interesting because it's just like everyday stuff to them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Blake, I'm just going to go ahead and throw out my opinion on what happened. I think it's pretty cut and dry. I think it was Al Capone's gang taking out Bugs Marone's gang. I mean, I don't feel like there's a whole lot more conspiracy or weird things involved with it. I don't know who actually did it. I'm sure it was somebody involved, or they hired some hitmen from other areas, maybe New York, maybe a different area. It wouldn't be the first time they did that or did something like that. So, I mean, I think it was pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. I don't think there was anything crazy to the whole thing other than just the fact that they wanted to get sweet, sweet revenge on somebody that pissed them off pretty bad.
True.
But I tell you what, man, I think we picked a good topic for this week. It was really fun. It was something outside of what we usually do. You know, we once a month talk about serial killers, real life monsters, and then this is our first time talking about something that a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Most people don't consider mobsters serial killers, but in their own way, I mean, they're not too far from the spectrum of a serial killer. You know?
That's very, very true, and it was a pleasure to get to actually, talk to somebody who I wasn't familiar with. I wasn't familiar with Ray Johnson's stuff at all, but now that I'm familiar with that and his paranormal thing, I'm definitely going to be hitting all the sites up and making friends as I do so well.
No, you do, sir. I have a great admiration for Ray, so yeah, he's definitely a guy to keep in touch with if you get the opportunity. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And Blake, I was preparing for 2 weeks from now, not 1 week from now, but 2 weeks from now, if I'm not mistaken, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But next week, what are we getting into?
Oh, I've got some huge news for next week, not only for you guys, but for anybody else out there listening. So we've got two guests next week. We've got Ricky Dean Logan, who was Carlos, the hearing-impaired teenager from Freddy's Dead, who met quite a gruesome, almost John Waters-type end in the film.
Yeah.
And then we've got Andy Mangles, who is doing the foreword for my book, Nightmare on Elm Street, Razor's Edge, which I've been tossing out to some publishers. He sent me, you're going to love this, some information that I have never seen before. And I will go ahead and tell you without giving too much of it away. I have got names and birth dates and death dates for all 20 of the original kids that Freddy Krueger killed prior to his burning.
Really?
I've got all that stuff. And he's relegated these items to me because my book I've been promoting pretty heavily. Last show I had Greg Bevel on, who is a writer, producer, a director, and comic book author, a lot like Stephen Hopkins was for Nightmare 5. He's got a couple of projects going, and he got wind of the book, and he's trying, which we don't know how it is yet, but he's trying to get me on as a guest at San Diego Comic-Con in support of my book. So it's just
that'd be sweet.
Oh, yes, and it's just, like I said, it's fantastic. He's going to be one of the guests for next show, and he wrote the comics, Nightmares on Elm Street, and then he did Nightmare on Elm Street at the beginning, which is a 2-issue multi-arc on sort of what happened prior to Freddy's, burning at the hands of the Elm Street parents. But, yeah, it's going to be a great, great show, and we'll probably talk a little bit about my book if you guys are game for that. But like I said, he sent me a whole email. I've got pages after page of amazing information, and a lot of it I'm going to use, but a lot of it I'm not, because the story's already been told. From the films on, I want to focus on the story before the films, because I really think that what Wes did kind of set the tone for everything, and those stories have been told. Not enough stories have been told about what went on before. That brings me to one of the other shows. If we decide to go ahead and put together the Freddy vs. Jason show, I'd like to get Roberto Lombardi and Chris Notario on, because Chris wrote the big thing where they have the fight with Pinhead and Michael Myers and Jason and Leatherface, by the way, and all those.
Mm-hmm.
Into one, and they both really want to get on the show and talk about it, because they're shooting a film that I'm helping work on with the music thing, Krueger, the new installment in California in the next couple of months, and Roberto's already doing makeup tests for that, so he's not at home right now. But yes, I mean, these are going to be great shows. I kind of feel bad that the last show didn't, Danny Hassel didn't make it, but I think Lisa and I and Greg and I, but we kind of made the trio thing work. And like I said, I put it even put it in the podcast. I don't have the same personality that you two gentlemen do, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means it's different. So, so don't go getting sick and shit again. Okay, just don't do that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to be back. So yeah, I'm happy to be back at work, if you know what I'm saying. So
yes, I do. Like I said, this has been not a dream for me to do, but oh my God, having to be in control of something like all the time. Like for those episodes that you were out and Vic was unable to attend other than producing and getting it up and running, those were definitely a test for me, and I think I passed really, did really well with flying colors, but I definitely love the camaraderie that the three of us share, and I missed that because, to be honest, I spit knowledge off ridiculously in the last episode. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but literally the first 15 or 20 minutes, you're like, what the fuck is he doing? He's talking about all this stuff before the guests come on, and but I was on a roll because I just watched the film and everything and was just hyped up. But I do appreciate you guys letting me do this, and I know you're going to be glad for the retrospective to be over because I guarantee I will not be approached by either one of you guys to come back for a while because I think I've overstayed my welcome just a tad.
I wouldn't say all that, but, I will tell you that the Nightmare on Elm Street series has been fun to talk about, and it's been fun to revisit, and I've had fun watching the various ones every once in a while. Blake, I think I want to throw out a couple ratings on the ones that I didn't get to throw out ratings for, just due to issues previous. Okay, so Part 4 is a little weird for me because I don't like Tuesday Night very much, but I do like everybody else in it. I don't like the fact that they killed off the Dream Warriors so quick. I was like, Jesus Christ, really? What was the point of even bringing them back? But I'd give that one 3 out of 4 because I kind of like it, but there's parts of it I don't like at all. But, I still enjoy it. Like, to pop it in and just kind of turn my brain off, Part 4 is a pretty damn good one. Part 5, I think this is where things start to go to hell with the series, and I don't mean like it's bad, but it's just, this is where Freddy's gotten so far outside the realm of horror where it's just like, I don't know, man, like I enjoy it, but it's almost like a satire at this point, and it's not so much bad but there's good things about it. It's not bad, I can't say that, but once you get to a Part 5 of any series, and this is true of Friday the 13th, Halloween, any of them, things start to change, and granted, there are good things that they mix in from time to time. Anytime they get into Freddy's backstory, I freaking love it. But Part 5, I don't know. I think Part 5 was kind of a flop as far as the series goes. I don't think it's the worst one, so I'd only give it, I think I'm going to go 2.5 on Part 5. 2.5 out of 4. Which, really, that's right up there with Part 2 for me. So it's not the worst thing in the world. And, again, I find things that I like about both of them. But we're going to get into another important one coming up. And then, when we get to New Nightmare, I can't wait to talk about that one. Because for some reason, that's one of the ones I've seen the most.
You and I both. And there's a weird thing that if you look up the date the movie was released, that was the day that I turned 10 years old.
Interesting.
So it was released October 14th, 1994. I turned 9, excuse me. Yeah, I turned 9 on that. So every one of these films, it's like I was destined to do this because every one of them I've had some sort of connection. Last episode's connection was the first one I had on something called pay-per-view, and I'm sure you remember pay-per-view.
Yep. You used to watch plenty of Scramble Vision in my day.
Yes, you and I both, and I watched Slaughterhouse Rock, and I watched everything else that would come on there. But so that I understand your rating. 2.5 is not terrible, but I think what drives a lot of people out is one, it was trying to return to the darker elements, and the other, and it had been away from the darker elements so long, since like Nightmare 2, and all of a sudden now we're up at 5 and they're trying to go darker. And then we had sort of like reunion of sorts. You had David Miller come back with Lazar to do the makeup. And a lot of people don't like the makeup, but I love that makeup so much more than what happened in Freddy's Dead, because Freddy's Dead, I was like, what the hell happened? They did way too much bright lighting, because that shit